Hey everyone, Fierce Toast here. In this video, we will be taking a look at Hytale Zone 3 and the secrets it could hold within. This includes the secret plans of the Outlander cult and what could have become of its former masters, the Thorns, before taking a look at the most recent postcard from Orbis. With that said, I'm Fierce Toast, let's get into the video. So for the literal two people who don't know what Zone 3 is, it's Hytale's third zone and is themed around the magical element of water, in the form of frozen water, aka ice. It's a harsh, freezing cold environment ruled over by a cult of human outcasts known as Outlanders, who worship the game's main antagonist Varen as a god and perform bizarre rituals. So there are three topics I'd like to cover here. First is the history of the Outlanders, second, the Outlander Colossus, and third, the mysterious Thorns. Let's begin our discussion by talking about the Outlanders. Now from this concept art, we can see that at one point the Outlanders had a thriving society, but as Varen's influence crept in, their society was corrupted. The land around their settlements and their settlements themselves began to turn purple and decay, while the shaman moved up in the ranks before ruling over the Outlander society, forcing them all to implant strange green crystals into their chests, apart from themselves and the Colossus, who we'll get onto soon. Their ritual sites all appear to be centered around pools of dark purple liquid, the signature color of void magic. Now this reminds me of a movie that I watched recently, which was based on a book by H.P. Lovecraft, The Color Out of Space. In that story, a meteorite lands on a farm and releases a purple alien force, which lived inside the family well and began to infect the area around the meteor. This included plants, animals, and the water most prevalently, before driving the people on the farm insane and morphing them into hideous monstrosities that are almost unrecognizable to what they once were. And, it has Nicolas Cage. Now this has some strange parallels to our story. The alien force of void magic has come into Zone 3 and has begun to infect the area around it, driving humans in the area insane. And it's purple, and it most notably affects water, just like the alien in The Color Out of Space did. If the team did truly take inspiration from Lovecraft's works, then it could reveal some interesting lore. Varen came into the zone via meteorite, and his void magic began affecting specific areas and creeping into the zone's water. A group of humans found this water and presumably bathed in it/drank it. After drinking the water, like in A Color Out of Space, they would begin to go insane, and Varen's influence would creep into them and affect their minds. These Outlanders would go on to become the first priests or shamans, inducting others into their cult, and breaking away from the rest of human society in the zone to become the Outlanders. The Outlanders would force new members and possibly their own children into the cult by bathing them in the ritual pools and allowing Varen's foul influence to creep in. The other human settlers in the zone took notice of the growing influence of this cult and fought against them. However, their efforts were in vain, and the Outlanders destroyed the human civilization in Zone 3 and drove them out, some fleeing to Zones 1 and 2, and some to Zone 4, where they would burn in the lakes of molten rock and become the skeletons that inhabit the zone today. This explains all the unexplained, abandoned human settlements we see scattered across Zone 3. The Scorched Ruins found at the border of Zones 3 and 4 still having their lights on, showing that it all happened incredibly fast and the residents didn't have time to even turn off the lights or pack their things, they just had to run. And now, as the player enters the world of Orbis, and the Outlanders have complete control over the zone and Varen's influence has continued to spread. Also, just as a side note, please consider subscribing. Only a small percentage of people actually are, so please do consider it. It's free, and you can always change your mind. Now back to the video. Okay, now let's discuss the Outlander Colossus. Yeah, that one. What even is it? It's obviously an Outlander, a warrior, I assume. In the Outlanders revealed blog post, it said that it was the most formidable foe in the Outlanders ranks, and looking at it, I have to agree. I mean, just look at it. There are three very interesting details that will assist us in looking deeper to this creature. Its grotesquely mutated arm, the fact that it doesn't have a green crystal in its chest, and the green crystal in its forehead. The crystal in its forehead is actually the most revealing detail in my opinion, because it allows us to figure out what the Colossus was prior to its transformation. It was an Outlander guard who defends the Outlander camps and ritual circles. How do I know this? Well, the only other time we've seen an Outlander with a stone in their forehead is in this video. See a guard who does not only have a crystal in their heart, but also one in their head. Now that he's been transformed, the crystal in his heart is gone, but the one in his head remains. I believe that, during the transformation, he lost the heart crystal. The Outlanders' revealed blog post states that the Outlanders have, and I quote, achieved mastery over death itself. This leads me to believe that the crystal in the heart of the Outlanders is there to prevent them from dying during the transformation into a Colossus, and this reveals more details about the Outlanders' sinister plans. We all know that they're working for Varen, but until now we didn't really know what they're doing for him, but I think I've had it worked out. They're creating warriors for him in the form of the Colossi. The end goal of every cult member, save the priest, is to be transformed into this hulking monstrosity for Varen to use in battle. The priests have had these crystals implanted into their subjects so that when fully trained and the time comes, they can be transformed into the Outlander Colossus. I don't know about the stone in their heads, but it could just be a symbol, who knows. This explains so much. What the Outlanders are doing working for Varen, why the priests and the Colossus don't have crystals, and how a Colossus is created. I think it's a very solid theory. Now onto the final part of the video, Thorns. What even are they, and how do they fit into this larger theory? There are two possibilities for what Thorns are in my opinion. The first is that they were just a concept, and their role in the story was eventually replaced by the Outlanders, considering the visual similarities between the two mobs. The second theory is that they were the original masters of Zone 3. They lived and thrived in Zone 3 long before humans and Outlanders arrived into the zone. When the humans did arrive, the Thorns were hunted down and the two factions went to war. The humans won the war, and now the Thorns are far and few between. Perhaps they no longer exist and are completely extinct, but I think not. I think that the Thorns still live on in the zone, and they're fighting back against the creeping influence of Varen, but they carry out their activities in secret as to not alert the Outlanders of their presence, as it was the humans that destroyed the Thorn civilization in the first place, and the Outlanders are their descendants. I believe that the Thorns will be our greatest allies in the war against Varen in Zone 3. Either that or they're just extinct, which is, it's still an option. Now, we'll be taking a look at the most recent postcard from Orbis. We see an adventurer leaving Zone 1 and coming into Zone 2. On the other side of the border, which in this image takes the form of a river, we see a saber-toothed tiger, a pair of gazelles, and a vulture flying high in the sky. Another thing to note is the moon in this image. It appears to have had a complete redesign. Honestly, I prefer the old moon, but it is what it is. With that said, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please do leave a like and consider subscribing. With that all said and done, I've been Fierce Toast. You guys have been amazing. Have a great day.